Don't turn now! Go south! Fred, if you don't go south, we're gonna die!
Storm chasers, sometimes of the amateur variety like those two, go in search of the world's most dangerous vortexes. Last Friday, a group of men who devoted their lives to hunting powerful storms died in the middle of the chase. 55-year-old Tim Samaras, his 24-year-old son Paul, and 45-year-old Carl Young were killed following a tornado in El Reno, Oklahoma, a storm that claimed 11 other lives. Their work tracking tornadoes was featured on the former Discovery Channel show Storm Chasers. The tragedy is casting new attention on the competitive storm chasing phenomenon.
And raising a lot of questions about whether the value of this kind of research outweighs the risks. Professor Jonathan Martin is a weather expert and the chair of UW Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences. Welcome back to Live at 5.
Thanks for having me
again.
Good to see you again. Now, Tim Samaras was well known in the scientific community. He was not a thrill seeker. He was a pretty accomplished scientist.
Yeah, he'd been at this for a long time.
And he was known for doing things safely, and he died doing everything right. So that really speaks to the danger of this activity.
It does. We're talking about a storm that may go down as the biggest storm in terms of its radius of all time for a tornado. And so this is kind of an unprecedented event, and even with 15 or more years of experience, that set of unusual circumstances led to this tragedy.
There is some scientific benefit, I would think, to getting these measurements on the ground.
There is.
It's just getting that equipment there in the storm, that's the risk.
That's right. There is great benefit to that. Some people are clamoring around and saying that, we really shouldn't be doing any of this kind of chasing. That's a fine line, because there is a lot of new observations of these tornadic storms that come out of the work that Tim and others like him have been doing for years. And we can't make a pinpoint forecast of a tornado. Therefore, we can't go out ahead of time, put down a set of observing equipment, and wait for the storm to come. So there is a real advantage to going and getting some of that information. It's led to some better understanding of these storms.
Is it possible to outsmart a tornado if the best of the best in the business?
No, I don't
can't
think
do
so.
it?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's a really a dangerous enterprise, and you really have to approach it with more caution than eagerness, I would say.
And then you get the amateurs like this video we have here where they're actually in the
Right.
debris field. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's ways to be very safe and prudent about the way you might go about these storms. I know Tim and people like him who are really, they should be regarded as professionals at this. They'll have a whole chain of command, people who are somewhere safe, monitoring conditions while they're on the road. And so there's a whole level of communication that allows them to know where to go and how to steer into the right position and get themselves safe. A lot of these people who are doing it sort of seat of the pants with their information right on board their vehicle are simply not in a position to make those kinds of snap judgments. And you could hear in that guy's voice how petrified he was. He knew he'd put himself in a bad position. He didn't know exactly why, is my guess, but he knew that it wasn't good. And that's not where you want to be.
And we speak a little bit about the phenomenon of this that we mentioned at the top of the show, and you were talking about seeing GPS images of the traffic, cars in the Oklahoma City area.
Right. It was taken about 6 p.m., I think, 2 days or whenever it was on Friday. And the rush hour is over in Oklahoma City by about 5:30. So the people who lived there testify to that. So these were not people trying to get home. These were mostly, not all entirely, but mostly people out looking for the storm. Now, it's impossible for me to believe that there were 50 to 60 vehicles manned by people who really know what they're doing. So unfortunately, some large fraction of that number of people don't know what they're doing, and yet they're in the way of people who do know what they're doing and can't get out of harm's way.
And no worse place to be in a car than in a tornado. So
no, that's right.
Get to a safe place.
That's
Don't go out
exactly,
looking for it.
Exactly correct.
All right. Jonathan, thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you.
Fascinating stuff.
Thanks.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.